Hi, and welcome to our virtual CalWORKs online new student orientation. My name is Melanie McCrae, and I am a counselor for the CalWORKs program at Cuyamaca College, and I'll be going over the orientation with you today. Remember, this orientation is a requirement for all participants in the CalWORKs program. It's also counting towards your new student orientation for the campus as a whole. As you know, since the middle of March 2020, due to the public health concerns and pandemic in our communities, our campus is closed to in-campus instruction and student services. However, we are still virtually open to support you and for instruction to continue for the rest of the semester online. And right now we don't have all of confirmed information. We do know that there will be some offerings this summer that will be online. And in the fall, we have not heard yet as of if and when we'll be returning to our normal in-person classrooms. So just stay tuned and keep in touch with us, and we'll make sure to keep you updated. So our programs is called STEPS, STEPS, which is an acronym for Success Through Education Produces Self-Sufficiency. So our program provides support services to CalWORKs recipients attending the college. We help students achieve individual education goals as well as learn employable skills with our ultimate goal of helping you get an increased wage, earning power, and become economically self-sufficient. And our CalWORKs STEP staff is ready to help you as a potential and current student. We offer a variety of services and financial resources that can help you cover your education and living costs while you're a student. And I'll be going over that in a few slides. So who's eligible for CalWORKs? First, you have to be receiving cash aid and be in the CalWORKs program for yourself and at least one child. You have to be enrolled at Cuyamaca or plan to be enrolled at least part-time. And you have to be working towards one or more of the following: either an associate's degree, a certificate, a plan to transfer to a university, or taking courses to improve work skills. You don't need a high school diploma or a GED to participate in our program. So what are the benefits of being in our program? Well, you get to have personal, academic, and career counseling from awesome counselors like myself and my colleagues Stacy, Sandy, Carla, and Martina. All of us are trained in counseling and higher ed with students. We all have personal and professional experiences working with students like you who are dedicated to your future and your education. And we have an awesome staff. So you are surrounded by a lot of support here at our campus. Being here in the CalWORKs program is meeting your monthly your monthly participation requirements for Welfare to Work. You will not be charged any tuition fees. Anything that is charged will be reimbursed to you. You get priority registration. So this is probably the biggest perk that any student would tell you is pretty awesome. Having priority registration means that you get first dibs on classes when the schedule comes out and registration opens online. So this is important, especially for classes that tend to fill up very quickly due to popularity, and also because they are a graduation requirement for all students. You get first dibs on registering for the class that you want, as well as with the professor that you want. Your books and any course material that are required, and they have to be listed as required on the professor's syllabus, will be covered through this program. You will also get supplies as needed and anything like Blue Book, Scantrons, or a USB. Being in our program, our counselors will provide you with your student ed plans and your individualized plans that are required as part of the program. And I know right now that there's a lot of uncertainty going on with the stay-at-home order. So while I am not an employee of PCG, we do want to make sure that we're all working together really well. And I wanted to give you some information that you could write down because it's not printed on any of these slides. So you can grab something to write with, or you can just rewind the video. But if you're having any issues with or have questions for PCG orientation, transportation, any payments that you're expecting, or other support questions, I'm going to give you an email address that PCG has published on their website. So the email address is WTW, W for welfare, T for two, and W for work, East, as in East County, so EAST, at pcgus.com. So I'm going to say that email address again. It's WTW East, all one word, at pcgus.com. We understand right now can be proven to be hardship for many of us. And unfortunately, with a lot of us losing our jobs because of COVID-19, that can really affect our basic needs, which includes housing. So if you're having any housing issues, I do have an email address that would go specifically for housing and trying to connect with housing at PCG. So that email address is housing, HOUSING, East, all one word. So HOUSING EAST at pcgus.com. And if you're having trouble with that, I'll give you their number. Their number is 619-270-4000. Again, that's 619-270-4000. And remember, when you're contacting anybody over at PCG, always include your case number and a phone number that you can be reached at. So with that said, we do work closely with PCG. We're still working out the kinks in terms of how to get your paperwork over to them virtually, and it will get taken care of. But I wanted to provide that resource to you in case you're having further questions. Of course, if you can get a hold of your ETA, your caseworker, that would be the first route to go. And we are here to provide any referrals to other programs as needed. Just let one of your counselors know. We're here to advocate for you. And we understand that right now is going to be especially a challenging time since there's a lot of unknowns. And we just know that we're here to support you. CalWORKs Work Study, I'll go over that in the next few slides, but it basically means that we have funding to pay wages to students to work on campus. But right now with our stay-at-home order, since we're not allowed on campus for public health concerns, we don't really know what's going to happen with work study as of right now. So for summer, there will be no work study, but moving forward, I really don't know. But once we do come back to campus, then you can be eligible for work study after you've completed at least one semester. And I'll go over more details. Okay, so requirements to remain in our program. You have to attend orientation. So you've already done that. You're doing it right now. You have to meet with a CalWORKs counselor each semester, and that's where you're going to complete an ITP, which stands for Individual Training Plan. This is where we basically go over your courses that you've enrolled in, answer any questions, and sign off that those courses are approved as part of your eligibility for CalWORKs. You have to meet with us at some point. We prefer within your first 2 semesters to complete a comprehensive education plan. What that means is basically a long-term plan, planning for your future 6 semesters at the college. You must report your hours every month on the attendance verification form. It's also called the 116 form. We will send copies of this, and your caseworkers should too. And this is one of the things that will be changing in terms of processing because we're virtual. From my understanding right now, they will be providing it as a fillable PDF form that you can email to us for approval, and then that can go on to your caseworker. In order to be in the program, you have to maintain a 2.0 grade point average at Cuyamaca College. That's overall, and remain in good standing with admissions. So what that means is basically not falling below a 2.0. If you are struggling academically, and we know right now that's especially a problem if we stay with online instruction, a lot of students struggle with that. So just keep working with us. The main important thing is keep in communication with everyone. If you're having trouble because of internet access or other challenges that come up because of online learning, please let your counselor know, let us know, so that we can document that so that it can help your case. So we are going to do what we can to make sure you're successful. If you're changing any important information like your phone number or address, just let us know, because this is the way we can get a hold of you to let you know of important things that can help you. Like, for example, for our current CalWORKs students, we have some funding right now that can help with computers or internet access, and we're counting on what information is provided to us in terms of a student's phone number and their address. So I gave you information about PCG and ResCare. And again, their phone number is 619-270-4000 if you need to get a hold of them, but try to get a hold of your caseworker first. And they're in partnership with us in terms of meeting your eligibility requirements. Depending on your family size and the age of your children, you are going to be required to complete either 20, 30, or 35 hours per week of participation hours for the week. So that includes you being in class, and it includes study time. We will calculate your study time as 2 hours for every unit that you are enrolled in, or every hour that's required for class, including lab. If you have any questions about that, you can talk to one of us, your counselors. If you have mandatory exemption, then we at CalWORKs will provide your books, parking permit, and childcare if your child goes to the on-campus program. Any materials and books will be provided by CalWORKs. Again, right now with us not being on campus, things may change a bit, but once we're back on, this is the way we will work with you on mandatory exemption. If you volunteer exemption, then you don't have to complete your hours to receive the services directly from PCG. So I'm going to say right now, from my understanding, and please, because this is a recording, you always want to verify that nothing's changed, but as of right now, we heard that PCG is stopping the clock for all students, whether you're registered as a mandatory exempt student or a volunteer exempt student. So please make sure you verify this with your PCG caseworker, but because of COVID-19, there are some exceptions that are being put in place. So what does exemption mean? That means that you have a child that is under 2 years old, that you have a medical exception that makes it difficult for you to be in school full time, that you are a main caregiver for someone in your household, or if you have a domestic violence case. Those are reasons for exemption. PCG and ResCare will also provide you resources and assistance for childcare while you're in school, and they have housing and employment resources as well. All right, so we're going to move on to how we can help you plan your education. So our goal, like I mentioned in the beginning of this slideshow, is that we're here to help you provide or help you support yourself by coming to school. We want to help you achieve your educational goals and your career goals to make you as successful as possible. So we know that this is really only works as a full team. And if anything, we want to be here to provide you support so that you can get to your goal, whether that be getting to the career that you need or that you want, or having the employability skills that you're seeking. And to do this, we focus on things like your goals, your values, your interests, your skills, what your vision is, what is your why, and of course, how will education help support you in your goal. Student success at Cuyamaca College, how we define this is basically in 3 areas. First, it's getting an assessment or placement for math and English. Second is completing your orientation, which good news, you're doing it now, so that will be done. And third is receiving academic counseling and advising, and that's going to be done through appointments. And these are things that we will keep in your file, your student record, and it's going to help you so that we can verify your eligibility in receiving priority registration. So the word placement and assessment can be scary, I know, but it's really not scary at all. It is not a test. It's not even close. And what it is basically a way for us to see where students start for math and English. What you have to do is pretty simple. You just need to go into your web advisor, and there's a questionnaire in there that you would answer. So before you fill out the questionnaire, just make sure that you have information about your high school GPA, give or take, that you remember what's the highest high school math that you completed, and what your intended major or career that you're working on is here at Cuyamaca. So for example, you can say, okay, maybe you were at a 2.3 GPA in high school. Excuse me, the highest math that I completed was geometry, and my intended major is psychology. So that's really all we need to know, okay, depending on you. And if English is your primary language, then you'll be placed in both math and English upon completion of all those questions. However, if English is your second language, then you'll be placed in math, but referred to take another appointment for ESL assessment. ESL stands for English as a Second Language, and that has to be completed so that we know the appropriate ESL English level to put you in. But this may not be too much of a concern for a lot of you, because unless Spanish is your primary language, we do have a Arabic version of this orientation, which will go into ESL more. However, it is important to know where you will be placed. So if you're like a lot of students I've met, you're coming back to school and you're worried because you're like, well, English was not a really strong suit for me in high school. I didn't do really well. I struggle with my writing, but English is my first language. Well, you're not alone. We still would recommend that you enroll in English 120 here at Cuyamaca, but we would have you enroll in a support course that goes along with it. So point being is if English is not, if English is your primary language, but you're worried about academically where you stand in English, do not register for an ESL class. You don't need to be in an ESL class if English is your first language. So again, talk to your counselors if you have any issues about that, but I wanted to make that clear. Okay, so I'm gonna briefly go over this, but please take a look at the slide at the picture listed here. At Cuyamaca, you're looking at the boxes that are shaded in yellow, blue, red, and then green. So for ESL, students can be placed in either the first level, which is ESL 50, or ESL 1A with 1AG, ESL 1B, 2A, 2B, and those all are prerequisites to get into English 120. Again, this is only for students where English is their second language. And for math, the reason why we want to know what the highest math of high school you completed and what your intended major is so that we can help place you in the right math. So if you are, like I mentioned before, if the highest level was geometry, and I'm intending to study psychology, there's no reason that I need to be placed in college algebra. I would need to be placed in statistics because statistics happens to be a required course for psychology majors, and it's the recommended college math course for students who are not pursuing business and not pursuing science. So again, this is why we want you to fill out the assessment math. So now we're at about halfway into the orientation. So this would be a great time, if you haven't already, to take a little break, get some water, stretch. What I'm going to be doing from now until the end is going over the academic portion, and then I'll cover financial aid as well as general student resources. So starting with this slide, we're going to talk about certificates that you can earn here at the college. So what a certificate is, we define it in two ways. There's the certificate of specialization and a certificate of achievement. With a certificate, no general education courses are required. It's simply the courses that are listed here. One thing to note is you can access the catalog for Cuyamaca College on Cuyamaca's website. You can also Google search for the Cuyamaca College catalog, and these screenshots were taken out from the catalog. So the reason I'm bringing that up is you really want to familiarize yourself with how to read the catalog, especially when it comes down to course requirements. The counselors will, of course, be using the catalog requirements to help you develop your career and education plan, but as a student, it is important that you understand where this information is coming from. So going back to the slide, if you see the certificate of specialization on the left, this generally means that it's a group of courses, about 8 to 9 units usually, that you take to earn a specialization. For a certificate of achievement, it's more units. As you can see in this example, it's 24. A certificate of achievement tends to show that you've completed a certain level of training or certification that could be helpful in certain industries or jobs. Many students choose to complete a certificate as an addition to their expertise and resume, or to help advance in current jobs as well. It's a great way if you are in need of extra units possibly to finish your degree, to maybe look into completing a certificate that can help you gain additional skills and knowledge. So I'll be saying this a lot, but make sure that you don't take this as your academic advising, that you speak with a counselor, as you will be, as a required as required in our CalWORKs program, to talk about these things and to discuss what's best for you. So again, certificates do not require general education. The requirements are simply what you see here, and what you'll see in the catalog for each certificate program. I'm moving on to associate's degrees and general requirements for that. So to get an associate's degree, you have to make sure that you're completing 60 or more units. Some degrees may end up being more than 60 units, but they have to be a minimum of 60. And the units consist of what's required for your major, as well as the general education requirements, which I'll cover in the next slide. Keep in mind that not every unit or courses that are offered at Cuyamaca are degree applicable. So what this means is that when we're looking at your units, we are calculating specifically units that count towards a degree, and I'll cover that in a minute too. The screenshot here shows an example of a list of degrees and certificates we offer. This can be found on our website, and especially in the catalog for Cuyamaca. And it's important to check the catalog because if anything changes with a degree and requirements, that would be listed in there as well. So as a community college in California, we offer associate's degrees. And that's the highest level of degree that we can offer here at this point in time. I'll cover what it means to transfer and a little bit about the requirements if you are thinking of earning a bachelor's degree. So what I'm showing you here is a screenshot of a general education form that we use at Cuyamaca College to show the requirements for general education for an Associates of Arts or an Associates of Science degree. There are 4 areas, A through D, and every area consists of taking 1 class. If you notice, Area B, Natural Sciences, is a minimum of 4 units. So that means that with the classes that you're taking here, one has to have a lab, which is generally a 4-unit class. And towards the bottom of the form, there's a requirement that you have to take 2 additional classes. You pick a class that is in another area within here that you have not, and they can't be overlapping. So if you have to select 2 classes, and the 2 courses have to come from 2 different areas. So B and C, A and D, D and C, as an example. And then finally, we have 2 classes that are required for exercise science. Please consult with your counselor for further advising. Again, I'm going to repeat that do not take this presentation as a form of your academic counseling. It's simply a guide and giving you information on what the requirements are in general, but every student's plan may look different. So what I'm showing you here is the general education pattern for CSU. CSU stands for California State University. There are several state universities in California. Our local CSUs would be San Diego State and Cal State San Marcos. Many of our students who plan to earn a bachelor's degree and stay local decide to go to San Diego State. If you are planning to transfer to a Cal State, or if you're following a degree for transfer program, which that is a program that you would discuss with your counselor, that is a program that assists with transfer to a Cal State specifically, you would probably be following this plan. So what this means is it's an agreement of general education courses that you would take at Cuyamaca College that a Cal State will accept as completion of general ed. So if you're planning to earn a bachelor's degree, what that means is as a transfer student, you're basically look at it as you're completing your freshman and your sophomore year of college here at Cuyamaca College. And as most students who are at the university as freshmen and sophomores, they have to complete general education. These are the equivalent of that general education that students take at the university. So if you're transferring to a Cal State, you could take these classes to fulfill your general ed for your associate's degree if you are following an associate's degree program, as well as your transfer requirements. However, this is where it gets to the point where you really need to talk to a counselor. Not all associate's degree requirements are direct requirements for transfer to any particular university. So it is possible that you may be following a plan that has to incorporate more than one set of requirements. And with that said, please consult with your counselor for further academic advising. Next, I'll cover the last general education pattern that you may be recommended to follow. This is the UC general education pattern. It's also called IGETC. UC stands for University of California, and our most local UC would be UC San Diego and La Jolla. The UC general education pattern has been articulated, which means it's been approved in an agreement between the UC system and Cuyamaca College. So the courses that are listed here are the Cuyamaca courses that are equivalent to the general education courses at the UCs. There are 6 areas in this pattern, and we generally recommend students follow this general education pattern if they are planning to transfer to a UC, but also may end up applying to a Cal State University. And these requirements can also count for an associate's degree if you are following that plan. So again, please consult with your counselor to make sure you're following the right general education pattern that meet your goals. I'm going to add, before I move on, as I'm ending my talk on transfer, that like I mentioned when I said there's a certain amount of units that you need for an associate's degree, which was the magic number 60. 60 is also the number of units that you need in order to transfer to a UC or a CSU in California. However, while it is 60 units, not all units that you may take towards an associate's degree necessarily count towards the 60 that would be required for transfer. So remember when I mentioned being familiar and knowing how to read the catalog, and I showed some screenshots? Well, make sure you Google the Cuyamaca College catalog, because in there, all of the classes we offer, including the classes that are listed in any of these general education patterns, are in the catalog. And if it's UC or CSU transferable, it will be listed in the catalog. And I will go over that in a couple slides over. So in summary, what I'm trying to say is, remember that 60 transferable units is required in California to transfer to a UC or a CSU. I want to take a few minutes to go over some counseling courses that we offer and that are highly recommended to take. These classes were formulated specifically for incoming students, new students, to help you have a more successful transition into college. We have counseling 95, 110, 120, 140, and 150. All of these classes transfer with the exception of counseling 95. In addition, counseling 95 is typically not a class that you would need to take unless it's advised by your financial aid and academic counselors. The units are listed next to these courses, and they vary depending on when they're offered throughout the year. But these classes are definitely great additions to your plan, especially if you are not sure what you want to do for a career or what path to take, or if you want to set yourself up with some good habits for college. So I mentioned majors or intended career plan. Here's a list of some career education majors that we offer. These are majors that can help you be more employable. These are majors that can teach you some specific technical skills for certain industries. So take a look at this list. And again, like I mentioned, all of this would be listed in the catalog for Cuyamaca College, which is available for free. You can download the PDF. Just simply log on to the Cuyamaca College website or do a Google search. So moving forward into information that's important to know as a student at Cuyamaca is that there is a expectation that all of our students are going to adhere to our rules when it comes to academic honesty. So all of our teachers are trained and aware on how to pinpoint and find when there is proof of plagiarism for papers that might be turned in or other ways of cheating on exams, and consequences to that to keep the integrity of our academic institution can be not getting credit for your assignment or for the class, a drop in your letter grade, and in extreme cases, possible academic probation or expulsion. Most students that I've met with are not here to cheat their way through, and that is not what we expect. But I have seen incidences where students may have plagiarized but unintentionally. If you're not citing your sources correctly when you're writing papers for a class, if you are maybe looking on Wikipedia, which isn't a verified source, and making certain ideas as if they're your own, or if you, let's say, have a study group with other students in your class and it's not a group project, but somehow everyone answers the same exact way on a test or the same exact answer on an individual assignment, it may come across as plagiarizing or cheating. So when in doubt, always check with your professor, and also check with our library. So our Learning Resource Center has tutors as well as other support staff that can answer these type of questions and can help you structure a paper or learn how to correctly cite resources when you're doing research on a topic so that you don't fall into any incidences with academic dishonesty. And I'll go over some of the resources at the end of the slide. The end of the. I hope that everyone is familiar with how to access WebAdvisor. This is basically your portal to access your class schedule. You register for classes, you can check your grades, look up your financial aid status. And when I talked about assessment for English and math, this is where you will go to complete that assessment questionnaire. I mentioned earlier that the course descriptions for all the courses we offer at Cuyamaca are listed in the college catalog, which you can find for free online through our website and through an easy Google search as well. Here's an example of ESL 1A. That's a course we offer. And as you can see, when you look in the catalog, it will tell you what the prerequisite is for the class, if there are any. Gives you a detailed description of what the class entails. And towards the bottom, where it says non-degree applicable, there's usually a note at the bottom of each course to let you know whether the class will count towards a degree or not. So in this case, this particular course is non-degree applicable, meaning the 6 units that you would earn in this class won't count towards a degree. However, the 6 units are still counting towards your hours needed for participation in CalWORKs, towards units needed for financial aid. It's just that when we're looking at the big picture for the requirements needed for a degree, we cannot use these units towards that plan. So be sure that you familiarize yourself with the catalog and how to read the requirements for each class, because it would look similar to this. If a class is transferable or counts towards the degree, it will list either UC or CSU transferable in the description. So now that I went over the academic requirements and what general education looks like and how to read the catalog for course descriptions, I'm going to move on and talk about some of the forms that will be required as a CalWORKs participant, starting with this slide, going over the individual training plan, or we call it the ITP. The ITP form is required to complete every semester, and you'll complete it along with your counselor after you register. So the counselor will complete the form and enter your course schedule, and then verify that these courses are in fact counting towards your education and career plan. This form will then be sent to your case manager or ETA to verify your enrollment. The Comprehensive Education Plan, or 6-semester plan, is a form that you will go over with your counselor, and it's basically a map and a way for us to help you with mapping out the classes that you will be taking over the next 6 semesters. And this will include all the requirements that are needed for your plan. This form as well as ITP can be edited and updated as needed. We keep the most updated version in your file. This form can also help if needed for any financial aid petitions or other applications or forms that you must turn in as part of your requirements with your ETA. But we will ask that you complete a 6-semester plan at least within your first 2 semesters at the college. When we return to campus, if you are needing to make changes to your current ITP, we have this form that students fill out to let the counselor know that there's been a change so that we can then work on updating your ITP. However, right at the current time, with us working remotely and not being on campus, we probably will not require you to fill out the form, but we will ask that you make sure to contact us to let us know of any changes after the ITP is done. And we will work our best to get this information to your caseworker. The 116 form has to be completed every month. Right now, we are working with the ETAs to figure out the best mode of getting it over to them as we're all working remotely. But in general, this is what the form looks like, and it is accessible in our office. But for now, we will be providing it via email to our students. So if you're having any issues or questions, just make sure that you let us know and we can provide this form for you. CalWORKs Work Study is another benefit that you have as a CalWORKs student. In order to be in the CalWORKs Work Study program, you have to have completed at least 1 semester of at least 6 units at Cuyamaca. You have to be currently enrolled in a minimum of 6 units, have at least a 2.0 GPA, be enrolled in ESL 2A or higher. So if you place into English 120, for example, then you've met that requirement. As long as you meet the other requirements here, then you could apply for work study. If you need to meet your hours, your either 20, 30, or 35 hour requirement as part of the as part of the CalWORKs program, then you will be eligible as well. So with these, if you meet all of these requirements, then we just ask that you fill out the application by the due date. And at the current time, right now, we are in spring semester. Because of COVID-19, we are not anticipating to have work study available for summer of 2020. It's still to be determined for fall of 2020. But once we have confirmed and we know of opportunities for work study on campus, we will make sure that we communicate that to all of our students. Cheryl Ashley currently is the contact for work study, and we'll go over the orientation and paperwork once you apply. And once students apply and are determined to be eligible, they will interview with the department supervisor based on where you're placed. The neat thing is we really do try to work with you in placing you on campus in an area that is related to your interests. The next part of this presentation will cover financial aid. Just to make it clear, I do not work for the financial aid office, so I am not a financial aid officer. So I'm going to cover just some general and basic information, but we do recommend that if you are receiving financial aid, that you always keep on top of the information that you get from FAFSA as well as from the Cuyamaca Financial Aid Office. So we recommend, if you have not already, to file your FAFSA application. This will allow your eligibility for scholarships, grants, work study, loans, and other state aid. So for financial aid, if you're enrolled full-time, which means 12 units, you will get your full award. So if your full award, I'm just going to make up a number, is $1,000, then you get the $1,000 as long as you're enrolled in 12 units. If you are enrolled in between 9 and 11.5 units, you will get 3/4 of your award. So that would be $750. If you're enrolled half-time, so that's 6 to 8.5 units, you get half your award, so you'll get $500. And if you're enrolled a quarter of the time, that's 0.5 to 5.5 units, you get a quarter of your award, which is $250. So that's really how it works with financial aid, and you can receive it through summer or fall, spring, and summer. In order to be eligible, you have to complete your financial aid application with FAFSA. So for students who plan to take classes between more than one campus, so if you're going to be enrolled at Cuyamaca College in a class, but you're also taking a class, let's say at Grossmont or another college, then if you want to receive your award through Cuyamaca College, you have to complete a consortium agreement with financial aid. These forms can all be found on their website. So if you Google financial aid Cuyamaca College forms, you'll see a list of forms that you can print out or download as PDF to fill out. So that's in order to get your full aid, even though you're enrolled in classes between two schools. So for example, if you're enrolled in 6 units at Cuyamaca and 6 units at Grossmont, that is 12 units. So you are technically full-time and you ought to get your full award. But in order to do that, you have to do this agreement so that Cuyamaca understands that you, even though you're only enrolled in 6 units here, you are enrolled in 12 total. So any class that's not part of your major and it's not needed to graduate cannot be approved for financial aid. So this is why it's also really important to keep in touch with your counselors and follow a plan that you know is meeting requirements for a degree. or a certificate. If you happen to have two majors, so if you're, for example, nursing at Grossmont and automotive at Cuyamaca, that's two separate degrees. You can only get financial aid for one of your degrees. And it has to be a degree that's offered at the campus. So in the example of automotive at Cuyamaca and nursing at Grossmont, since we don't offer nursing at Cuyamaca, if you listed nursing as your major, we would not be able to provide financial aid for that degree. So we would need to make sure that the degree that you are seeking at our campus is something that we offer. And that's something, again, that we'll go over with you individually when you meet with a counselor. So in order to be in satisfactory academic progress, which basically means you're in compliance with the requirements for financial aid, you have to make sure that you are completing your degree in the time frame that the financial aid office is requiring of you. And this is all going to be given to you once you get an award. So make sure you read all that information carefully and you meet with the financial aid officers or speak with them. So to earn financial aid or receive your award, I should say, you have to have a major or an educational objective on file. And when you apply for financial aid, all of your record will be reviewed, including courses that you've taken at other campuses. And you have to earn a 2.0 cumulative GPA or higher, or maintain that. So that's just what they want to make sure, that you have the minimum requirements for graduation. So anytime you go over under a 2.0, your financial aid can be paused or stopped until you have a 2.0. So that's, again, something that you work really closely with your counselors and your professors and financial aid to help you if you're feeling like you're going below that in your classes. So that brings us to resources. Now, we are about 40 minutes into this presentation. I promise you we're almost done. I just want to go over some of the resources for you that can help you with your advice or guidance, assistance while you're here. Here at Cuyamaca, we offer free tutoring for all of our students. On campus, our Academic Resource Center, our Writing, Reading, and ESL Center, and our Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math Center all have tutors who can help students. Currently, due to COVID-19, as you know, we're not on campus, so our tutoring structure may have changed just a bit. So please make sure you're checking up on our announcements through our website of what is going on. But in general, as we move forward, just know that we do provide free tutoring for students. Another great student support service that we have on campus is DSPS. It stands for Disabled Students Programs and Services. Currently, due to COVID-19, the office and the high-tech center are closed until further notice for in-meetings and support. However, they are available virtually to answer your questions or get more information. You can reach the main office at 619-660-4239 or by email at dsps@gcccd.edu. To learn more about resources, you can call the number or email. Just make sure that you leave your name, your student ID number, and a best way to get back to you. The EOPS office, which stands for Extended Opportunity Programs and Services, is a one-stop shop center for students who qualify. In order to be a part of this program, you have to be full-time, meaning enrolled in at least 12 units, and be receiving financial aid. Typically, students who are first generation or come from economically and educational disadvantaged backgrounds may qualify for this program. Similar to DSPS, due to COVID-19, they are not in the office during this time for spring 2020, but they are receiving emails and phone calls from students and answering questions that way. If you would like to learn more information about EOPS, you can contact them at 619-660-4204. EOPS has a program called CARE, which is specifically for single parents who are in the EOPS program and that receive CalWORKs assistance. So if you want more information about that, just drop an email over to us or send it to your counselor and we can give you more information on CARE. The campus also has a general counseling office. The general counseling office is open for all students and covers the services listed here. Fortunately for you as a CalWORKs student, you have counselors that are dedicated to your case and your services here through our office at CalWORKs. But as a Cuyamaca College student, you can also speak with general counselors for any of these items. Career services is offered to you as well. Some of the services that are provided are counseling, resume interviews, job search, and the phone number is listed here. Again, right now, due to us being at home with the stay-at-home order, we definitely are not going to have the on-campus job fair this semester or other career events on campus. However, I know that our offices are working on thinking of ways to get you connected with the community and also on campus. So again, if you have any specific questions, the CalWORK counselors are trained in career counseling, so you can ask us and we can direct you to the appropriate resource on campus. Same goes for the transfer center. I've been talking about requirements to transfer to universities like CSU, UC, or there's other private institutions, out-of-state institutions. If you are interested in getting a bachelor's degree, that means you would be transferring from Cuyamaca College at some point. We have a center that provides services to give you information, which includes counseling on transfer, workshops on filling out university applications, giving you specific information. And once we get back to campus, there is a computer lab there that students can use to access a lot of these online resources. If you have any questions about transfer, though, you can speak to us, your CalWORKs counselors, to go over what that means. And that's usually what's incorporated in your long-term planning anyway, especially if you have intentions to get a bachelor's degree at some point. So I've been talking about the campus closure a lot throughout this presentation, and a lot of our support services have transitioned online. So please give us a call at 619-660-4340. You can email us at cuyamaca.calworks@gcccd.edu. Our webpage is here. Our webpage link is listed on the slide. So if anything, just reach out to us. The main point is we're here for you, to be your advocate. This orientation is to give you an overview of all the things that are provided to you. There's no expectation that you will remember this whole presentation, or maybe that you listen to every single word I just said. But if you're listening to this, just make sure that you understand we're here. And here's our contact information. Do not hesitate to call. One important note on calling during the COVID-19 closure is when you call, we should have a recorded voicemail letting you know that you've reached the right place. But if you don't, just know that if you dial 619-660-4340, you can leave a message. And while we are working remotely, we will have access to listen to your messages. So don't be afraid to leave a message. You don't need to leave a lot of personal information. If you aren't comfortable with that, that is fine. But if anything, leave a callback number clearly so that we can call you back. So thank you so much. We're under an hour. This is good. Usually our orientations are scheduled for longer than that. I wish I could see all of your faces in person and that you were on campus with us on such a nice day. Right now it happens to be a beautiful sunny day outside. I hope that it is also when you're listening to this. I apologize in advance for any background noise that you might be hearing due to the closures. I am recording this from home, so I apologize for that. But luckily, due to this recording, you can always pause and stop and go back as needed. So thank you again from all of us at the Cuyamaca College CalWORKs office. We hope you have a successful academic career with us, and we look forward to speaking with you.